going on, y'all? This is Jason and welcome back to the basement. So a few months ago I went on a cruise and I went with a Fuji XF10, which was a 28mm fixed lens Fuji compact camera, and I probably shot that 90% of the trip. And the other lens and camera that I brought was the Fuji XS10, which I'm shooting with right now, with the 18-135 lens. So that gave me my, full coverage kind of all-in-one lens. And I had that lens for a long time and liked it. But what I found is that I didn't want to carry it. And when I did carry that, I had to have a backpack. And wasn't my ideal way of carrying it, although I don't regret it, and I probably will revisit that lens in the future. But I found that I wanted to be more compact and more stealthy. So that was back in September. So this past few weeks ago, April 2023, my family and I went on another trip, and I said, you know what? Given what I have now, I wanted to kind of stick with that 2-camera setup, but I wanted to shrink it down as much as possible to kind of fit in a small sling. That sling was the Ulanzi shoulder bag, which is a great bag, by the way. I'm going to do a separate bag review on that, separate talk on that. But basically, it was just one sling that wasn't a backpack, and I could carry a little bit or a little bit more with that bag versus having a backpack. So that was kind of like what I wanted to do. So really worked out. And the cameras that I chose, I don't have the XF10 anymore. The compact, small 28mm, fixed camera. I tried to love it, but ultimately I just moved on from it. The autofocus was just more of an annoyance than anything. If they really had nailed the autofocus on that, that probably would be the perfect everyday camera, especially for Fuji users who are used to that, platform. But ultimately, I went with 2 cameras: the XE3 with the 27mm pancake on it as my daily, driver, all-in-one, kind of general purpose shooter. And then I brought my newest addition to my kit, which is the Panasonic GX1, and I put the 35-100 f4-5.6 lens on that one to be my telephoto option. So 2 small compact bodies and 2 lenses. I also brought the 16-2.8, which I'm shooting with right now for Fuji, my good wide-angle lens. So I brought that too to kind of be the 1-2 punch with the Fuji. So the 16-2.8 for the wide 24mm equivalent stuff, and then I had the 27-2.8 WR lens, which is the standard lens, compact pancake, on the XE3, and then I had the 1 lens with the GX1, which was the 35-100, which is the equivalent of the 70-200 f4-5.6. So any telephoto stuff that I wanted to cover, I would have that covered in a very small package, because that lens is tiny, very small. I'm going to do a follow-up on that. But I really enjoy shooting that way, and I think that for me, that's where the Micro Four Thirds system really shines. Because before that, I was thinking about getting like a Pentax Q, and they got a great 06 lens that has the 70-200 2.8 equivalent on that system. But the difference between the sensor size could really make a huge difference. Because at the end of the day, I used to have that system, and the lens, the 06 lens, which is 70-200 equivalent, and the Panasonic 35-100 70-200 equivalent, the size is literally negligible. It's almost the same size. The only difference is you got a 2.8 on the Pentax, and you got the f4-5.6 variable aperture on the Panasonic. Now, outdoors in bright light, that's not going to make any difference. And then when you factor in the Pentax Q's crop factor in terms of depth of field, that 2.8 is going to be more like an f8 anyway. So you're really starting to be in the same ballpark in terms of depth of field. Now, light levels is different. But when you light levels can get tricky too, because the smaller sensor versus a bigger sensor that has a slower lens, it almost comes to be apples to apples. And so I think you benefit by having the Micro Four Thirds interchangeable system, because you could put a faster lens on it if you wanted to, and really still work out. So I think that's the difference for me. So I really enjoyed it, and I just want to say off the bat that I think, you know, telephoto work with that lens was really a game changer for me, because I didn't have to use it a lot, because I don't do a lot of telephoto work. But the fact that I could have it in my bag, not taking up a lot of space, versus a bigger system lens like APS-C or full frame, you know, really makes a difference. Because once I go indoors, I don't need long telephotos past 100 millimeters, and you could use a fast 85 equivalent, and that could cover you, you know, for, you know, anything you're gonna need. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm gonna do a follow-up with some photos and things of the trip, and really go into depth on each lens and how it worked out and things like that. So hope you enjoy this. If you use any of those lenses, or enjoy, you know, using Fuji and, you know, Panasonic and Micro Four Thirds and all that good stuff, hit me up. All right, peace, y'all.